What if Anakin Skywalker was trained by Avatar Aang? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. The funeral pyre burns on Naboo, its embers drifting into the twilight like dying stars. The scent of smoke and melted metal hangs thick in the air. Anakin Skywalker watches him burn, dressed in the new Jedi robes. They don't feel right as he stares into the flames. He wonders if this is truly his life. Obi-Wan stands beside him, silent. He is kind, but he does not understand. No one does. They have already begun instructions in the ways of the Jedi, and Obi-Wan certainly is diligent, resourceful, and brave. But the teachings he gives Anakin are too rigid and unyielding. Instead of helping him develop and grow, he feels shackled, as if he were a slave again. These thoughts carry on with him. But when he dreams, he finds himself in a strange swamp, one filled with life forms he's never seen before. Some are creatures that look completely alien. Others are animals that emanate a strange power, as if they are connected to the Force. A whisper of wind stirs the air, unnatural, soft, carrying the faint scent of rain and distant mountains. Anakin turns. A man stands beside him. Not a Jedi. Not anyone he's ever seen. Tall and lean, his bald head was marked by sweeping blue arrows that glowed faintly in the dusk. But when he smiles, his face turns goofy as he casually leans on his glider.
You seem lost. I'm Aang. I'm guessing you're Anakin.
How do you know?
I'm a friend of Qui-Gon. He was a man out of place. Like you. He never fit in with the Jedi Order. If you ever want to learn about the living force, you know where to find me.
As the vision fades, Anakin's dreams change with it. He finds himself in a world that is lush and beautiful, a world of 4 nations that live together in harmony. How even after a war that lasted 100 years, the planet has begun to heal. Endless skies stretch above, so blue they hurt to look at. Air temples, carved into the sides of mountains, stand silent and grand. A river twists below, its waters bending against the wind, defying nature itself. When Anakin wakes up, he tells Obi-Wan about this. At first, the Jedi is skeptical about what he hears. He wonders whether this could be a trap of some sort. But when he hears mention of Qui-Gon and the living force, something gets his attention. That was what he wanted to train Anakin in, and try as he might. The newly made Jedi Knight does not know of that. If this person knows about it, then it is worth considering. Obi-Wan agrees, and the two travel to the planet whose coordinations were pushed into their minds by Aang. When they arrive, they find themselves pulled to one of those air temples they saw in their dream. To their surprise, they find it nearly empty, save for one person, the one who came to him in his dream. Aang.
If I knew you were coming so soon, I might have tidied up a bit.
He offers them some food, and the trio sit down. Instead of training in dogma, though, they instead speak of Qui-Gon. Each one recounts stories of him, and says how they had fought together. A few years back, the Jedi Master had journeyed to their world and helped them defeat an evil tyrant named Ozai, the Fire Lord. Because of that, Aang feels compelled to help them.
But I can only help if you're willing to accept it. So, what do you say?
I'm in.
Obi-Wan is a bit reluctant, but as he looks around at the temple, he can't help but feel a closeness with Qui-Gon as he walks around there. Aang notices and smiles, explaining that is how the spirits work. But he soon puts this into practice when Aang takes him into the temple gardens to talk. There, he sits down and picks up a leaf. He then throws it up, making a miniature hurricane in his hand to propel into the air, and lets it drift in the breeze.
The air nomads never fought the wind. They understood storms to pass. Emotions are the same. We feel them, and we let them flow freely. To do otherwise will block out our spirits and make us less human.
The Jedi say emotions are dangerous.
Then you believe them?
Anakin's face tells Aang everything he needs to know, and their first exercise has them revisiting the boy's old memories. His highest and lowest points, winning his pod race, saying goodbye to his mother, losing Qui-Gon, and his first few days in the Jedi Temple. As Anakin relives them, they can sense his emotions grow, the joy, despair, and emptiness. Most Jedi would advise him to feel it and forget those emotions, but Aang has something else in mind.
Feel it. Don't fight it. Cry as you feel your sadness. Laugh with your joy. Feel it in your soul. The Jedi say that it's dangerous, but that is the Force speaking to you. It is what brought you here.
It was you who brought me here.
And how do you think I found you?
Obi-Wan joins in these exercises, feeling the despair of Qui-Gon's loss and saying goodbye to Satine. These are emotions he told himself to bury for the sake of Anakin, but as he sits here, he feels strangely relieved. When the tears come, Anakin doesn't wipe them away. As they finish these exercises, the two feel lighter, like the spirits are lifting them up. Not long after, they are joined by a new arrival, a woman who steps from the moonlight, her dark hair streaked with wisdom, a water skin hanging at her hip.
I don't know much about the Force, but from the way Aang and Qui-Gon describe it, it sounds like the water. We waterbenders learn to use our abilities by observing the ocean and moon spirit. It is all about shifting through the stances, always remaining fluid.
To demonstrate her point, she opens the container and the water moves out like a snake, squirming around and then suddenly lashing out at a nearby tree, shaking it to its roots, then dropping into a nearby pool. She swirls her hand through the water. The liquid rises like a living thing, curling around her wrist in obedient ribbons. Her arms move like tides, pushing, pulling, yielding.
It should be like that when you channel the Force. Your entire body needs to move with it, because that is what bending is about. Change. Each time you shift your stance, you change the energy flow with you. If you fight it, you'll never be able to harness your full potential. But if you move and flow with it, you can create something powerful.
She pauses, as if thinking of a painful memory.
I held on to anger for years after my mother died. I bottled it up. I fought against it. But the pain doesn't vanish even if you fight. It just makes you something you aren't, and tries to make you do things you might regret. But you learn to carry it without letting it drown you.
The rest of them nod obediently at the lesson, enjoying the strange sense of peace that comes with it. Anakin thinks back to his memories of his loved ones, but this time he lets the emotions flow. As they come back, he rises and begins to follow the movement Katara shows him. But the next day, that peace is gone, as a small figure stomps out from behind a pillar. Toph Bai Fong cracks her knuckles. She stomps. The ground bucks. Anakin yelps as he tumbles into the pool, dripping and laughing. Anakin feels something inside him loosen. The next few days are meant to show him stance training, letting him move not just his body, but his mind.
All right, these two are great at all that fancy spirit talk, but let me give it to you straight. Do you think Qui-Gon sat around and moped every time something got him down? Oh no, he faced his problems head on.
To prove her point, she leaps up and headbutts the same pillar, smashing it to rubble. Anakin and Obi-Wan's jaw fall open as Toph casually shakes the rubble from her hair.
That's the existence of earthbending, kid. You take whatever life gives you, and you give it back twice as hard. You don't take anything from anyone, but you don't go around giving anything either. It's all about waiting and listening for the right time to strike.
Another stomp. The ground shudders. Anakin wobbles. Her training style is perhaps the most unconventional. Toph focuses on strengthening the mind and body. Because of that, her exercises are the most grueling. From making Anakin stand for hours holding a stance, only to burst from the ground and surprise him, or keeping him blindfolded under the roof and dropping objects on him from above, letting him rely only on his senses to protect himself. The lesson is clear. Life is unexpected, and he must be prepared to take whatever comes his way. Though it only lasts a week, to Anakin's body it feels like months. Then, the final master arrives, at the witching hour. Zuko steps from the shadows, his scar painted crimson by the torchlight. He suddenly ignites a fire in the palm of his hand, causing Anakin and Obi-Wan to jump back. Anakin reaches eagerly and jerks back with a hiss.
Yeah, that's what happens when you demand instead of listen. Fire is life, but left wild it consumes everything, including you. Toph taught you how to take this power, but I'm going to show you how to unleash it.
Patiently, he guides Anakin through the breathing forms, slow inhales and measured exhales. As he breathes, Zuko nods and tells him to hold it.
See, it's all in the breath. That's what my uncle said. One tiny breath might not seem like much, but recall what you learned from everyone. How to take hits, how to reach into yourself, and how to let it flow. But now, you unleash it.
He thrusts his hand forward and unleashes a burst of fire, and then gives Anakin an expectant look. Anakin nods, steadying himself, and then opens his hand, and a powerful force shockwave shatters the wall. He whoops out and Zuko gives him a nod. As dawn stains the sky, Aang gathers all of them, Katara, Toph, Zuko, even Sokka, and a bewildered Obi-Wan.
What have you noticed?
It's all connected.
Indeed. 4 elements, but each lesson bleeds into the other, just as the Force does. That is what the living force is all about. You were never meant to walk this path alone.
Though training is not like any other, it does not last forever, as the world still needs the Avatar. Even with the 100 Years' War over, there are still many problems that require Team Avatar. Rogue warlords, problems with spirits, and unrest in the 4 nations keep them busy for several years. Anakin and Obi-Wan accompany them, helping however they can, and using it as a way to refine their skills. When they aren't fighting, they are meditating, trying to get in touch with the spirit world. Although they never see him, both men swear they sometimes hear Qui-Gon's voice amidst the chaos. Throughout their troubles, the pair continues to learn from the rest of Team Avatar, who lets them put their lessons into practice. Even Sokka joins in, helping Anakin learn how to be a warrior and a planner. Despite these problems, compared to the rest of the galaxy, it all seems rather small. Peaceful, even. Here, Anakin can breathe freely and feel like he's getting in touch with the Force. And for the first time since the desert, Anakin Skywalker breathes freely. But this time is not meant to last, as while it happens, the galaxy continues to devolve into chaos. Rather than the Naboo crisis being the end of it, the battle is the opening act as more planets experience unrest. From the rise of warlords to corporate takeovers, the Jedi are hard-pressed to keep the peace, and in desperation, they contact Obi-Wan and Anakin to join the fight. But they don't return alone. The others join in, such as Team Avatar, to help them with Aang's urging. As he sensed before when he first saw Anakin, he senses the growing chaos and knows that he cannot ignore it. So their small band operates independently, throwing themselves into the heat of chaos. They work to rebuild worlds ravaged by famine, conflict, and natural disasters, or use their skills to settle border conflicts, or the extortion of corrupt senators and corporations. It is difficult, but they prove their worth. Their band gains some renown throughout the galaxy, as they cannot hide their abilities. To the rest of the galaxy, these are powers that no one has ever seen before, and tales of their exploits reach the far corners of the Outer Rim. All across cantinas and bars, they talk about these strange peacekeepers.
Did you hear that? The Jedi with blue arrows. He moved a river with his bare hands.
My cousin swears he saw the Bald One put out a forest fire on Kashyyyk just by breathing.
They say his friends, the Water Witch, the Earthshaker, the Fire Prince, they fought off an entire droid army without a single blaster.
But despite their best efforts, the galaxy remains in turmoil, and it seems like the galaxy will be plunged into war, especially as the Senate proposes a bill that will create an army. Soon, this talk even reaches Palpatine, who watches these new arrivals with fresh interest. The hologram flickers. Aang, suspended by midair as a typhoon, obeys his command. Palpatine watches, his fingers steepled. The Force whispers to him, as it always does. But this power, this is different. Not a light. Not light, not dark, but something older, wilder.
Fascinating.
He has his droid bring him some old texts he received from Dathomir to study. Ancient tomes float in the air, their pages turning without touch. This is among a dozen books he's consulted, but he finds the answers he sought in an ancient Sith inscription.
The spirit world, a realm of pure energy, where the Force is so powerful that you can see it in the form of great spirits, where the souls of the dead wander eternal. Finally, a power even the Jedi cannot fathom.
As he continues his studies, Palpatine's eyes gleam at the illustrations of these creatures, magnificent beings of energy that can be corrupted if properly harnessed. Palpatine secretly journeys to this world as the conflicts in the galaxy rage. He contacts Dooku and informs him to speed up their plans with the CIS. While their conflict rages, he can use the chaos to continue his studies. Thankfully, the Count delivers, and Anakin is soon called away to protect Padme after a botched assassination attempt. Team Avatar and Obi-Wan join him and free Palpatine to act. Unfortunately, his studies do not go so well. Despite his best efforts, he struggles to enter the spirit world and capture the beings there. It is almost as if it is locked away from him. Though he rages and concentrates his energy, nothing can help him get through. But what he does learn is how to bring the spirits into the human realm. From some of the villages, he learns how Aang once defeated a rampaging spirit named Hai Bei, the black and white spirit. The creature is angered by the destruction of his forest, and Palpatine begins deploying his allies to do the same thing, to strike at sacred places and draw the spirits out. Groves, shrines, and temples are struck. Soon the spirits begin to emerge right into Palpatine's waiting arms. Meanwhile, the Jedi and Team Avatar sit around Dexter's diner as they lick their wounds from their recent mission. Though they managed to stop Padme from being assassinated, their culprit managed to get away after silencing his associate. This means that they have almost no leads. As they finish their meal, Toph senses a faint vibration and gasps. She points outside, and suddenly they hear people screaming. When their group makes it out, they are shocked to see a massive creature running through the streets. It barrels through a building, scattering civilians as it lets out an ear-splitting roar. The creature resembles a giant spider, and at first they think it's another alien. But something is off about him. Anakin can sense the strange aura it gives off, and his eyes widen in surprise.
It's a spirit!
They rush out just as the spider skitters toward the diner. Toph slams her foot and summons a massive stone pillar that knocks it over. But when Katara tries to unleash a water whip and knock it aside, the creature rights itself and crushes the water. It lets out another roar and raises its two front legs to try and crush them. It is only stopped by a fire blast from Zuko, who drives it back. Through the flames, Anakin and Obi-Wan rush in, their lightsabers flashing as they slice into its carapace. But even this doesn't cut it entirely. The spider sweeps its body and sends Anakin flying aside. It raises a leg and prepares to bring it down, but is knocked off balance by Ahsoka's boomerang, letting Toph use the metal to pull Anakin out of the way. Obi-Wan takes the chance to leap up, swinging from its legs as he raises his lightsaber and drives it into his side. This time, the spirit stumbles around and hisses once again. Obi-Wan prepares to do the same with his eyes, but Aang stops him.
No, we don't want to kill it.
The spider shakes Obi-Wan off, but Aang is already on his glider, flying between its legs as it tries to get its attention. But as he flies up, the spider summons a web that drags him down and slams him into the floor. Yet he cannot go close as Katara unleashes a powerful wave. It sends the creature falling over, and while it struggles, Toph breaks off a sign from the side of the building and pins it in place, and turn it into lassos that bind the legs together. They are helped by the Jedi who use it to direct it in place. Once they have it secure, Aang lets out a powerful breath that solidifies the fire and leaves it in place. An investigation that follows reveals that this creature was brought there through a cargo container marked with the insignia of the Trade Federation. But before they can take further action, more reports come out of rogue spirits appearing across the galaxy. They emerge all across the Outer Rim in contested areas and force the Jedi to try and deal with them, preventing them from properly investigating the rise of the CIS. Aang realizes someone is bringing these creatures from their world and hurries back with his friends to investigate. Meanwhile, Anakin and Obi-Wan continue their mission to protect Padme and find her assassin. They return to a world falling back into turmoil. When Anakin tries to meditate and commune with the spirits, he's greeted by their agonizing screams that rush across his mind. All across the four nations, there is a growing unrest. All scream out that their domains have been disturbed. Tracking the disturbances leads Team Avatar to one of the burgeoning industrial centers in Udeo. Though the city is wealthy, it is far from the intergalactic port of their other planets. There should be no way they could bring spirits off the world. But this seems to be the epicenter where it happens. As they make their way to the outskirts, the air reeks of engine grease and something fouler, the metallic tang of spiritual decay.
There's a rift here. Faint, but recent.
Zuko ignites a flame in his palm, casting flickering light over the walls, covered in Sith runes, hastily scrawled in what looks like dried blood. These cover everything, the walls, the ceiling, and the cages that contain the captive spirits. There are also a few small cargo ships, each one barely large enough to sneak a spirit off-world. Then, a shadow detaches from the wall. Palpatine rushes toward them, unleashing a burst of lightning that forces them to scatter. Aang unleashes a gust of air, but Palpatine leaps aside and activates his wrist controls. A loud beep, and the cages containing the spirits begin to march out. A dark spirit, its form shifting like smoke, its eyes hollow pits of hunger. Aang realizes too late it's a distraction. From the shadows, Palpatine emerges, his crimson robes billowing as he makes his way out. Aang doesn't hesitate. He strikes first. A blast of air sharp enough to slice stone. Palpatine flicks a hand. The wind splits around him as if repelled by an invisible shield. Katara pulls moisture from the air, forming ice daggers. They shatter before they can reach him. Toph slams the ground, but the earth buckles away from Palpatine. Zuko leaps forward, fire whipping from his fists, only for the flames to curl back at him until they dissipate. Then, the dark spirit lunges for Aang. Others rush out the doors to the defenseless town. Palpatine laughs and leaps from the window into a waiting speeder, as they are left to deal with the creatures.
Guys, buy me some time. I'm gonna try to call for help.
The rest of his friends form a circle around him, fighting off the attacking spirit as Aang crosses his legs and tries to take a deep breath, reaching out for Anakin. The Jedi is still on Tatooine with Padme. The Jedi's face is stricken as he had just gotten back from rescuing his mother. But he nearly falls over when Aang's call reaches him.
Anakin, Palpatine's behind the spirits. We need your help, here, please. I can't.
His mind races with everything that just happened. He recalls how Obi-Wan has now gone missing on Geonosis, how his mother has just died, and how he nearly lost Padme twice. With the Jedi Order so spread thin from the spirit attacks, they don't have the knights to spare. Anakin hesitates, and now he hears this. He thinks back to the kindly Chancellor who has often complimented him and showered him in praise for his efforts. The thought of him turning out to be like this is too much. The last thing he can think of is leaving them now. A part of him wants to just stay where he is and never return to the galaxy. But he can hear Aang's insistence, his desperation, and then he thinks back to the lessons his friends gave him and the stories they told. How Aang did not want to face his destiny and kill the Fire Lord. How he decided to try and run away from his destiny and what happened there. He thinks of what they might do in his place and thinks about it long and hard. Though his emotions tell him one thing, he knows in his heart what he must do, and he says he'll be there as soon as he can. Glancing at Padme, he tells her that he must go and help his friends and warns her to stay hidden. Anakin hops onto his fighter and takes off, hurrying to Aang's world. By the time they arrive, they manage to restore some order to Eudeo, capturing the rogue spirits and tracking down Palpatine. But he always seemed one step ahead, and has so far managed to avoid a capture. When Anakin arrives, he feels a call pulling him towards the foggy swamp, where the air is thick with rotting vegetation and corrupted energy. The trees loom like skeletal hands, their gnarled roots twisting into the murky water. Shadows move where they shouldn't, whispers coil through the mist. But in the distance, he hears the sound of fighting as well. Anakin ignites his lightsaber and rushes to see Katara, Toph, Sokka, and Zuko fighting against the vines themselves as the trees come alive. Branches and roots lash out against them, trying to knock them off their feet or smash down at them. Katara uses the water to fight, sucking it dry from the trees or solidifying it so that Sokka can smash them with his club. Meanwhile, Toph raises and lowers the earth beneath their feet, knocking them together before smashing them with boulders. Zuko moves in between, letting out jets of fire. Anakin rushes to join them, his lightsaber hacking through anything in its way. Together, they manage to clear out this area.
You finally caught up. Where's Aang?
To answer his question, the Avatar goes flying from the trees and smashes into the ground from an unseen opponent. Palpatine steps into view, his crimson robes untouched by the swamp's filth and his arms raised, covered with dark energy.
So it's true.
Don't be so surprised, boy. This is the way to true power. I was simply the one bold enough to take it.
Toph strikes first. She slams her fists down, and the earth heaves, unleashing an earthen tidal wave towards the tree he stands on. But Palpatine leaps off and ignites his lightsaber. He hacks apart any rocks Toph hurls. Katara and Zuko attack in unison, water and fire spiraling toward him in a deadly helix. Palpatine sidesteps the attack and pulls down a tree towards them, making them scatter. Anakin lunges, his lightsaber a blur of blue as he meets Palpatine's weapon. But despite his age, the Chancellor's movements are unlike anything he's encountered. He parries each strike with inhuman speed before throwing him back. As Anakin staggers, Palpatine raises his lightsaber at him. Aang appears and unleashes a burst of air to throw him back. However, Palpatine disappears behind a tree once again and vanishes from sight. Before they can pursue him, he leaps down with his lightsaber in hand, nearly scattering them. All 6 of them unleash their attacks all at once, but Palpatine laughs as he blocks each strike, evaporating water, dissipating fire, melting stone, and redirecting air. When Sokka and Anakin close in on him, both are easily beaten back and thrown aside before he unleashes lightning towards Sokka. But Anakin barely blocks it, and feels the force of the blow throw him back. When Anakin swings at him, Palpatine catches it in midair and rips it from his hands, while kicking the Avatar back. He whirls and hurls it at Toph, who uses the earth to block it.
We can't beat him like this.
Around them, the ground shakes as they hear that same otherworldly roar coming from all directions, and they're getting closer.
Yes, I have an idea. Buy me some time.
Katara, Toph, and Zuko don't hesitate. They launch themselves at Palpatine. Earth shatters, water freezes, fire erupts, all in a desperate bid to keep him occupied. Anakin closes the distance between each attack, lunging forward with his lightsaber raised, and swings at him. He slashes at Palpatine's chest, but he leaps back and parries with his weapon. Meanwhile, Zuko rushes in as well, drawing his swords and trying to help however he can. Sokka follows suit, hurling his boomerang and forcing Palpatine to sidestep just as Anakin scores a glancing blow at his side. But it isn't enough. When they try to follow up, he throws them back with another wave of force energy that shakes the ground. Toph and Katara shielded themselves with the earth and water before throwing it at him. Palpatine fires a burst of lightning that shatters their attacks in midair. But from the smoke, Aang suddenly comes rushing out and sweeps his staff against Palpatine's head, smacking him across the side of his head. The Chancellor staggers and feels blood trickling from his head.
All that for a drop of blood.
And then, the spirits come. They pour from the trees, the water, the very air. Lost, angry, betrayed. Their forms flicker, something like wisps of smoke, others like jagged shadows. They swirl around Palpatine, their whispers rising to a roar. Aang grabs Anakin's arm and suddenly he can hear them. It wasn't Palpatine who brought them here, it was Aang. He directed them to come here, and Anakin now understands why. He can sense their anger, their rage, and their despair at having their homes attacked, but they need direction. Someone to guide them. Anakin took a deep breath, recalling what Aang had told him. He thinks back not just to the pain he suffered, but the chaos he's witnessed because of Palpatine. The emotions inside him help fuel him. It is nearly overwhelming at first, but he does not shirk from it. Instead, he faces it head-on, just as Toph told him, and soldiers through the emotions as he takes a few deep breaths, and then he unleashes them. They fill the spirits' minds, showing the horrors that Palpatine has unleashed. They all at once understand who had hurt them. Slowly, the spirits turn to face the Chancellor.
No, this is not possible.
He raises his hands, and the spirits strike. His lightning goes wide as the creatures mob him. Dozens of them swarm at once. Dozens of them swarm at him at once, holding him down as they form into a single mass, dragging him off to where they came from, as he is left screaming. With Palpatine gone, the spirits soon follow. While some remain in the galaxy, they prevent more from joining them. Instead, Team Avatar and Anakin rush to Geonosis to help save Obi-Wan along with the Jedi. Together, they manage to defeat Dooku and end the Clone Wars before it begins. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.